With Anno 117 recently, we saw another instance of AI-generated assets being found by the game-playing community, pushback occurring, and then the studio coming back and saying, oh no, it was a placeholder asset slipping through the cracks. Is that true? Maybe, maybe not. But I do think that there's something missing from the discussion about what this could potentially mean. When we think about placeholder assets, there are two axes that we need to consider about. Can this asset even ship from a legal perspective? Like, are we allowed to ship this? And what is the chance that this asset might ship? And then secondarily, what is the chance that this might ship by accident? So we have a 2x2. Most of the conversation that we've seen about placeholder assets within the game dev community has existed in this upper part of the graph. These are assets that are not going to ship. These are assets that are well marked and such that they will be caught before they go out and get replaced with the real version of the assets. But there's another quadrant that is also something that could be a form of placeholder asset that is acceptable as well. And that's down here in the bottom right. These are assets that could ship. There's no legal problem with them shipping. There's nothing that's going to get you in trouble if they ship, and they might slip through the cracks. And let's talk about why I think that the companies that keep getting caught with their hand in the AI cookie jar are trying to move their placeholder assets down here to the bottom right. This is a really compelling place to be if you are a game developer. Because what's the theory here? The theory is you're making a bunch of assets for your game that are supposed to be just placeholder. So presumably you put a bunch less time in them, and then you put them in your game. And then what you could theoretically do is now only replace the assets that are sticking out, that don't look good enough when you have people playing through the game. So the game reaches a theoretically shippable state much earlier, having spent much less money. And then what you can do is pop individual assets off one at a time, improve their quality, and then elevate the quality of the game little by little by little. But at any moment, you can stop, say, good enough, and ship the thing that you have. So you can see why moving from definitely can't be shipped placeholder assets to we could ship this, we'll fix it if it looks bad enough, could be really compelling for certain parts of the game dev community. To give a bit more context, let's talk about things that exist in each of this quadrant. In that will not ship, cannot ship quadrant, these are things that are very obviously intended not to go out with the game. On Dragon Age, a lot of the shaders were this bright pink thing that is obvious from 1,000 miles away, that this is a temp asset that needs to be replaced. Sometimes you have a texture that says placeholder right on the side of it. These are very obvious, very non-final quality assets, and they're very easy to pluck out and prevent from shipping. If for whatever reason they slipped into the final build, you might actually get into trouble with a cert organization, because they would probably trigger one of their no debug assets, or they wouldn't be adequately translated if they contain text. So typically this kind of asset cannot ship, in addition to being very unlikely to accidentally ship. Not all assets can be easy to put into this quadrant. For textures, for shaders, for models, it's relatively easy to make something that is obviously placeholder. But even there, you need to think about how often this asset is going to be seen. If you have a weapon model that is only used on one weapon in the entire game, and it's only given out in this one very difficult to complete quest, then there's actually a chance that that asset may not get caught by QA, because as you get close to ship, when you're starting to try to find any remaining placeholder assets, it's possible that that quest might not get completed, or they may miss it in their test plan and it might slip through the cracks. But for other kinds of assets, it can be even more difficult. For your branching conversation files, it's very difficult to get complete coverage on all of those assets. So while it's relatively easy to mark a line of dialogue as placeholder, you can just literally write the word placeholder right at the beginning of the line, it can be pretty difficult to be certain that you've seen everything that needs to be removed. And for other assets, things like fonts or audio, it can be difficult to make a placeholder asset that is functional enough to be in the game at all, but not good enough to potentially slip through the cracks and not be caught as being a placeholder asset. So while some kinds of assets are very easy to put into this quadrant, very easy to make unshippable, for others, that's a very difficult line to cross. In that bottom right corner, these are things that you can't ship, but actually have a high probability of shipping. Often in the past, when things have accidentally gotten caught, they are this kind of asset. So if in Mass Effect 3, you use a non-licensed stock photo for a photograph of one of your cast members, that can't ship because you don't have the license for that. But it's got a high probability of shipping because when a QA person sees that asset in game, they can't tell that it wasn't intended to ship with the game. Looks final. They don't know the licensing status of this asset. Looks final, but it actually cannot ship. This is a very dangerous place to have any assets exist, because they're hard to catch and you could get yourself into big trouble, whether it be PR trouble, legal trouble, or what have you. This is a place where you really don't want assets to exist. When you see game dev social media freaking out about these AI assets, it's because they can't imagine why any placeholder asset would go in that would be in this quadrant. It's in a quadrant where people are really mad that this asset exists, but the asset itself is potentially quite hard to detect. Down in the bottom left, these are assets that could ship, but you probably want to replace them because you want to make things that look like they belong to you. You have the ability to make things that are a little bit better. You want to spend a little bit of time to put your own fingerprints on these assets. So down here are things like asset packs, or if the audio people do a first pass of audio on all of your abilities and use some sound effects libraries. You own the license for them. They can ship. It's not going to get you into trouble if they ship. And there's a high probability that some of these assets are going to slip through the cracks. Indeed, they might not even slip through the cracks by accident. You might decide to ship them on purpose. Famously, Pixar does scratch versions of a lot of their characters. And from my understanding is in almost all cases, one of the scratch voice actors ends up being the final voice actor. Same thing might happen here. You use a sound effect from a sound effect library for one of the gun sounds, and you decide that actually it's fine. We don't need to replace it with a new sound. We'll just use the one from the sound effects library. Or you bought some textures off of an asset library, and you decide that these are not hero textures. These are not textures that are critical to our visual identity, so we'll just let them stand. Anything down here is survivable. If it ships with your game, it's going to be okay. You might want to replace it because you think you can make it better, but if it slips through the cracks, that's all right. But you can see why this is such a compelling quadrant, because we have a finite amount of time. We have a finite amount of resources. So if all of our assets start as these placeholder assets that could ship, then what we're able to do is take a game that theoretically could ship and only elevate the assets that deserve it. Only elevate the assets that are common enough or that are important enough to get that extra attention. So you can see that siren song of trying to turn our placeholder assets from things that absolutely will not, cannot ship into assets that maybe would be all right if they ship. And then upper right, these are assets that you're not going to ship, but they could ship. They're not going to get you into trouble if they ship. The only thing that really lives up here are assets that are tagged in your pipeline in some way. Ideally, yes, your pipeline would contain some sort of mechanism for saying this is a non-final asset. Do not ship this. One of the issues that can occur in audio is it can be very difficult to have obviously placeholder assets, because we have a more visceral reaction to off-sounding audio. If you have a pink texture in your level, people are able to look at that and go, okay, that's not going to ship, and kind of move on from that. If your gun is playing a sewing machine sound every time it shoots, even though you told everyone, don't file a bug about the sewing machine sound on the gun, it's just there to take up space, it's just a placeholder asset, you are going to get bugs about how that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound final. And if you replace it with something more obviously placeholder, like just a squealing sound, it's going to annoy people. They're not going to be able to set it aside, and you're going to have problems there. So if you are putting in placeholder audio that you definitely don't want to ship, then what you probably need to do is have some sort of pipeline level way to tag those assets such that they definitely can be found later and replaced with the final version of the assets. Now, I would argue if you are putting in things that sound like they could ship and you don't have licensing problems, maybe you're fine with them being in the bottom right. Maybe you don't need to tag them. Maybe you just let some of them slip through the cracks and ship. But if you definitely don't want them to ship, then you probably need a tools level, pipeline level solution that prevents them from shipping. Something like TTS can exist in a very large part of this area. If you use the sort of cheapest level of TTS, it is so obviously placeholder, it's so mechanical, so robotic, that it's not going to ship. Some of those solutions might be able to ship because you might have the ability to use those generated audio files for anything that you want, but it's very unlikely you're going to accidentally ship them because they often sound quite bad. More modern TTS generation software have better sounding voices, but typically they're still pretty obviously not things that you want to ship with your game. But one thing you can do now is you can very quickly train a TTS generation system on actual voice acting lines. And if you do that and then use it to generate lines of dialogue that go into your game, that could sound quite a bit like the actual actor that is doing your voice acting. And if you don't have a contract that allows you to do that explicitly, and then you accidentally ship some of those VO lines, that can be a big legal problem. And almost definitely that actor's agent is going to come after you and say, you got to pay me for this. This was not part of the original contract. You got to pay me for this. Some of the points of conflict between the video game industry and voice actors a few years ago was about this exact topic, about how they would get paid for being part of voice generation models. Would they get paid? How these contracts would be structured. So you can do this. You can license a voice actor's voice to train your model. I don't know exactly where we are in terms of the public reception of that, but you can get this legally on side. But what often happens is that this isn't part of the contract. It's just done as placeholder. But if it's done as placeholder, you can very easily get down in that bottom left part of the graph where you are in legal danger of shipping stuff that cannot ship because it might sound good enough that it's not easily caught by the testing process. What I would argue that's happening with all of this placeholder assets being accidentally shipped with games right now is that it's not that AI assets are being considered for that in that upper part of the graph. It's that they want those AI assets to be in the bottom right part of the graph. They want Gen AI assets to be things that they want to replace, but if they don't get replaced, then that's okay. But the reality is that's not currently where we are. We're in the bottom left quadrant of this graph. Not because these assets can't legally be shipped, but because from a PR perspective, from a reception perspective, people aren't interested in these things being in their games. But I think within the large game development studios, within the large game development publishers, there's a belief that over time, that backlash is going to be whittled away. And they'll be able to move more and more assets into that bottom right quadrant. And eventually, maybe games consist of a fairly substantial percentage of AI-generated placeholder assets that are just allowed to ship with their game because they're fine. Do we want that? I don't want that, but I think that because major video game publishers are so cost conscious, they're going to keep trying to make this be an acceptable thing. So when these game studios say, oops, that was a placeholder asset, we didn't mean for it to ship, I would argue that that's sort of true. They probably did intend to replace those assets with final versions, but they weren't that bothered that things were sliding through the cracks. Because if they were, they wouldn't be using Gen AI in the first place. They would be using more obvious placeholder assets, bright pink assets, or assets with placeholder across the front of them in a very obvious way. Or they would have things marked in their pipeline automatically in a way such that they couldn't ship without being replaced with the proper version of the asset. So were these placeholder assets? Probably, but they are intentionally building structure in such that them accidentally shipping is a feature, not a bug. A special thanks to my members. They provide the resources that this channel needs to keep running. If you're interested in becoming a member, there's a link to that down in the description. In addition, we have a Patreon now if you are more interested in supporting the channel in that way. Both channel members and patrons get access to our Discord, which is a great way to interact with this channel to a greater degree. How are you feeling about Gen AI assets in video game development these days? I think the belief within the major publishers is that the rejection of it is going to be an attitude that slowly erodes away until they're allowed to do whatever they want. I guess we'll see if they're right over time. I will see you again soon. Thank you.